That's right.
That's right. So I'm from IIT Kharagpur, 2002 comp science, and yeah, and been here for about 9 years and
Wow.
such. Sorry, when did you finish, sir, for your
Yeah. Yeah.
undergrad?
So I graduated in 94 IIT Kanpur,
Right.
and then I went and did my PhD.
That's excellent.
Okay, I think we should start now. Is it okay, everyone? And maybe we'll start with the introduction. And I would like to welcome Dr. Asim. So it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's session, Professor Asim Tiwari. Um, Professor Asim Tiwari is a renowned academician and a professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering at IIT Bombay. He is also a faculty member at the Center of Machine Intelligence and Data Science, which is CMINDS. Professor Tiwari holds a bachelor degree from IIT Kanpur, followed by an MS and PhD from Georgia Institute of Technology, Atlanta. With over 25 years of experience in both corporate R&D and national research lab, his contribution to applied artificial intelligence in engineering systems and processes are truly significant. We are excited to have him here today to share his expertise. Please join me in welcoming Professor Asim Tiwari. You too, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I have planned about an hour plus, depending upon how much you can handle. But I want to keep it light on maths, so I'm not putting real maths in this. It's more of what is capable rather than where the maths comes from. And I have made it into individual chunks, so I could switch back and forth and give you a sense of what to expect and what not to expect. So with that, let me just start sharing my screen, and let me just open my PPT. So just make this last small variation. So let me just share my screen and then we start. Multiple PPTs, just give me a second. Perfect, this is one. So let me directly start by, and I will not talk about myself. We can do that later. I have a lot of activities which I do in terms of applied research, but I will confine myself right now to this presentation. So let me just share my screen. Mm, I think you have to make me a presenter right now. I don't have presenting rights. Okay, now I have. There. I just had to refresh it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm sharing my screen now, and I hope you all can see. So let me just jump right into what is artificial intelligence. And I think it's very important to understand that the term AI is something which has been there for more than 75 years. And this all started by the term being coined and being created as a buzzword in science fiction 75 years back in 50s it started. And people thought AI is the thing now, it will take over everything apparently. It never happened, except in science fictions, of course. And then up till 70s, AI really was limping. The Webster Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of AI is a capability of a machine to imitate intelligent human behavior. And it's a very vague definition. Firstly, imitate. How much of imitation is duplication? Intelligence of human. So intelligent human behavior, all humans are not of the same intelligence. So it's a very vague definition. However, there are more rigorous definitions which we have, and there are better ways of gauging the artificial intelligence and its level. But anyway, nonetheless, so this is how it started. But in 60s, something else happened. And that's where the 60s saw a major shift. And I do not know whether you're able to see my full screen, right? You're able to see my full screen or have two screens at the same time?
Just full screen with the evolution of artificial intelligence.
Okay, okay. And there's just one screen. There are not two screens visible to
No,
you, correct?
just
Okay.
one.
No.
Some issue at my end, but not an issue. So machine learning then became a part of artificial intelligence, and this was in 60s, late 70s and 80s, when people realized that you don't have to train artificial intelligence. You could use data to make artificial intelligence learn these things all on its own. And that's when the advent of machine learning happened. And machine learning was thought that now this is the big thing because machines can learn themselves. You just provide them data, they will learn themselves. But soon they realized that this has its own limitations. And it was found that no matter how much you train a machine learning algorithm, it reaches a limit of performance and cannot go beyond that. And this I'm calling right now as the conventional machine learning, and we'll come to that. So this was where the world was up till about 2005, 2006. And these 25 plus years had been the most agonizing time when people realized that the machines can never be as intelligent as humans. So now in this curve, which is more of a schematic curve, you realize the performance of machine tapers down. Now you keep feeding more data, it cannot become more intelligent. And humans were somewhere here top, much above it. So they realized machines cannot be as powerful as humans. And that's when something very exciting happened. Probably the most exciting thing in the history of machine learning. And that's when in 1989, a paper got published in which it was claimed that there are possible algorithms which can learn anything in the universe to any level of approximation. And this paper is called UAT, Universal Approximation Theorem. Now, this was a paper which proved that there are set of algorithms which can be trained, which means they are machine learning algorithms, which can learn anything in the universe to any degree of approximation. So much so that people started calling them as God theorem, because this could learn any phenomena of the universe to any degree of approximation. A phenomena which you know, a phenomena which you may discover 100 years from now, no matter what it is. This universal approximators could learn all of those, provided, of course, you give them data. And this really was the big excitement. This happened in 1989, but in spite of it happening in 1989, people realized that you could not train an algorithm which was the universal approximator. The universal approximator algorithm could not be trained. And people felt that this is probably just a mathematical proof which can show existence of something, but it really cannot be ever realized. And all of this changed in 2010. And this started a little before 2010, 2008, 2009. But 2010 was the first year when people found that they could hack into a hardware made for gaming and video consoles, for PlayStations. This was a hardware which was a graphics processing unit which was used by these video game companies and computers to do very fast graphics on a screen. They used to perform graphics in the monitor GPU, in the GPU of the system, rather than giving it to the CPU. And CPU is extremely slow because it's a multi-purpose system. It's a multi-purpose chip. Whereas a GPU, the graphics processing unit, was just doing matrix multiplications, matrix inversions, and transformations, which is exactly what you needed for training a universal approximator. And that's when the start of deep learning started. So in 2010, deep learning was born by hacking a GPU, which was supposed to be a graphics processing unit used for video games. And suddenly a company which used to make these GPUs realized that it is the most sought after hardware company for AI. And this company is nothing but NVIDIA. So NVIDIA suddenly became the company which realized it is making a hardware which is the AI hardware. And this AI, deep learning, now has no limits. You can keep feeding it more and more data and it keeps growing. This is, of course, a pictorial graph. It's just a schematic, but this line goes till infinity. It never stops. And the reason is because of this universal approximation theorem. So now you had a theorem which proved that you can approximate any phenomena in the universe using these algorithms. And now you had a methodology of training these and making them learn. And thus the deep learning was born. Now it's been almost 15 years since deep learning has been there. And the real excitement of today is because of this deep learning. This is something which I call as the Cambrian explosion in the history of machine learning evolution. Now, what happens is in the evolution of artificial intelligence, things were moving very slow. And in 2010, because of universal approximation theorem and deep learning, things suddenly turned around. And this is very similar to an evolutionary history of life on Earth. There was a phenomenon known as Cambrian explosion, which happened about 500 plus million years back, when the rate of evolution of life suddenly became multifold faster. It started evolving extremely fast. Before that, life was moving extremely slow. Had it been the same pace, we would have been not born yet. There would have been no intelligent species on Earth. But because of that Cambrian explosion, this happened. And this is a similar event in our AI evolution. So what we are seeing right now is this aftermath of the Cambrian explosion of AI. And trust me, AI will change everything. And it's already doing so. Every 3 to 6 months, you will see some major milestones of AI coming up. World would see changes which are unprecedented. And this is not going to stop till we reach the inflection point and the singularity. Now, all of this is really played by data. If you see, deep learning has no end. Deep learning can learn anything. This curve is essentially going till infinity. So what stops this is the x-axis. If you don't give it data, this curve will not go any forward. And it has already breached human intelligence. So AI is already better than human intelligence in multiple fields. These are called narrow areas. And that's why what we call today that we are living in the world of artificial narrow intelligence, which means AI in these narrow areas of intelligence or systems, it is better than humans. And I'll show you some of those things. But one of the key things which becomes important is data. Now, do we have data? And the answer is yes and no. So I just want to give you a scenario which is playing out as we speak, real time, is that you are giving all the data which is needed to train an AI. AI is currently living on your data. Just to give you a sense, your cell phones, they're continuously giving data out. They're giving you GPS location, what is your, room temperature, pressure, what are the SSIDs available in your neighborhood. Every possible thing which you can think of, they're giving that away. Just imagine if you switch off the location tracking in your system, but you are along with someone else in the same vicinity. There are beautiful algorithms we can figure out where you are in spite of you not having your location on. Why? Because there is another cell phone nearby which has its location on, and that cell phone has a SSID where you are also logged in. So the telephone manufacturer, Apple or Google, they get to know you where you are because you know the location of the other person. So you cannot be more than whatever distance from that SSID, and that's why they know your location. They know whether you are walking, jogging, on a bicycle, you're on a train, whatever you're doing, they know that. Now, you think that when you switch on the airplane mode where it stops all the activities, it is not tracking you anymore. And the answer is no, it actually still tracks you. The only thing is that when you switch on the airplane mode, it cannot transmit that data. And when you switch off the airplane mode, it collects all of the data, whatever happened, and it transmits it at one go. So if you switch on the airplane mode, do some activities, it will record everything. It can't transmit that. And the moment you switch off the airplane mode, it will transmit all of that. Today, you even if switch off your phone is never off. There is a background low power OS which keeps running in your cell phone. You switch off your cell phone, it still is on. It knows the time, it knows the GPS location, it's transmitting and tracking. As a matter of fact, you switch off your phone and set an alarm and switch it off. When the alarm time comes, it will still get on and it will ring the alarm. How is it possible? Because phone is never off. If someone steals your phone and switches it off and takes it away, don't worry, you can still track it. Both Apple and Google has apps to do that. Now that's only possible if your phone is never switched off. So what I'm trying to say is that your data is all available to them. As a matter of fact, your phone keeps listening to you. They may not reveal that. Apple just settled a lawsuit where they were always listening to the phones. Does it mean they're not anymore? Well, the humans are not probably. Now they're just letting AI only listen. At that time, they also started having humans listen to it. Now, the other aspect is that your signal strength, your MAC ID, your battery life, all of these things provide very detailed information to the other party who's tracking you. Apart from that, there are phenomenal open databases. You can search a person, do human engineering, look at Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn accounts. You can look at this, the voter ID details. You could look at their auto registration. At least in India, voter ID details and auto registration is easily available. You get to see a car or a two-wheeler, you can search who is it registered to. You get to know the location of the person and the name. Then you search that in voter registration card. You get to know who all are the other people in that area, in his house, in his location, who are registered as voters. You get to know all the adult people in that person's place. You get to also know the address. From that, you can pull out the utility bill, because utility bills are also all available. This is all legal, by the way. You get to know what is the amount of electricity being used by that person, how much that person uses electricity in winters versus summers. That gives you an idea of how many air conditioning units they have and how many heaters they're using. These aspects are very scary, but all of this is readily available. And this is all legal. Apple, Srini, Amazon, Echo, and all other devices are always spying on you, with you signing up saying that, yes, please, I want you to be spying on me. So it's a strange world. So I just want you to understand data is all out there. And then, of course, there are tons of other things where there's a lot of other data available. This is more personal and interactional data. There are financial data which are not readily available. There is a lot of strategic data, policy data. Legal data is a lot available, but again, legal case files which are by lawyers, they are not available. And engineering data is always not available very easily. But you have tons of images, books, videos, and other things, and they can be used to extract this data. So let me just give you an understanding of what this deep learning is capable of. So as you see, the dotted line in this graph is where the human intelligence or the error rate of a human is for an activity of image segmentation. You give an image to someone, ask them to figure out what that image is. Now you have given tons of images of lots of complex things taken from different orientations. There's a possibility that the human may have an error in identifying the image. And that's the error percentage. It's about 4.555%. But if you look at AI evolution, AI has been continuously having error rate decrease. And after 2015, which is 10 years from now, 10 years past, it became better than humans. These are all the LXNet is the first, as I said in 2010, the first major network LXNet started. And this is the 8-layer LXNet, is another LXNet version of it. You realize that all these deep learning algorithms are becoming better and better, and now they are far better than humans. Humans are more prone to errors than these algorithms are. Now, let me give you some more examples to show you how this really changes. Deep learning retinopathy of Google. These are deep learning libraries of Google. They can be used to figure out, for instance, what is the age of a person or the gender of a person, whether the person is smoker or not, just by looking at the image of a retina. You can today buy attachments which can be put on your cell phone, You can use that to extract, take an image of your retina, upload it on these libraries, on these websites, and they will provide you all of this information. They'll also tell you whether you're diabetic or not. What is your systolic blood pressure? All of this can be told just by looking at your eye. And these libraries are, by the way, freely available. You don't have to always upload your images. You can actually download these on your own platform and run it on your own GPUs. Most of the laptops have a GPU, and you can run this on your GPUs. You could have lip reading done. Now, lip reading is very commonly actually available now with these libraries, which have been trained on thousands of hours of television transcripts. So if this video is not having audio, you could just run your deep learning AI lip reading algorithms, and it will tell you what she's speaking. And this is what she's speaking right now. These libraries are freely available, by the way. You can download them and you can use them on your own GPUs. So a lot of proliferation is happening when it comes to deep learning. You develop something, you put it on the net, and everyone in the world can now download it. And suddenly you have deep learning algorithms in hands of every single individual. And that could be sometimes very scary. Now, there are more complex things which deep learning can do. So for instance, it can solve very complex differential equations like a black box. You give it an equation, it will churn out the answer to you. And this is a published work. We have worked in this area as well. What you have to do is that you have to have millions of equations and their solutions trained to AI. And after AI looking at all those solutions, you now give it an unknown equation, differential equation, and it will solve it instantaneously. It does not understand what is 1, 2, 3. It does not understand what is X, Y, Z. It does not understand what is the meaning of a square or this. It just sees this entire thing as a pattern and it gives you an answer. And guess what? It has beaten Mathematica, Maple, and MATLAB, which are the leading symbolic calculation algorithms developed by humans. They follow the mathematics to solve problems. And in this deep learning, you don't do any mathematics. You give it 100,000, 1 million equations and their solutions, and AI learns it. And after that, you give an unknown problem, it will just churn you an answer right away. Of course, the problem is that it will give you an answer, but it will not tell you how it arrived at that answer. If you are doing this in Maple or Mathematica, Maple and Mathematica will go step by step. It does this transformation, does this substitution, blah, 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 and finally you get an answer. Here, it will not tell you anything. It's a black box. You give a question, it churns out an answer. Now, this is good and bad. Good because it's extremely fast. You give it a question, you have an answer. Mathematica, Maple can sometimes take almost 2 minutes to solve a problem. There is no 2 minutes. It will be in maybe 5 clock cycles of 5 cycles of comprehension. In milliseconds, microseconds, it will give an answer. But the bad part is that it does not give you what is happening inside. Now, humans don't work that way. But there was one guy, by the way, who used to work like this, like a black box. His name was Ramanujan. You give him a problem, he'll tell you an answer. Ask him how he derived it, and he doesn't know how he derived it. As a matter of fact, once his advisor became extremely angry and said, you have to tell me how you are able to give these answers where I'm not able to figure out how from this question, this is the answer, though I'm able to now back calculate and see it's the answer. How did you derive it? So finally, Ramanujan revealed his secret to his PhD advisor. But in saying so, he said that you won't believe me what I'm going to tell. So PhD advisor was like adamant. He said, let's see, I don't think so. That would be so tough for me to digest. And that's when Ramanujan said that actually, I don't ever solve these problems. When you tell me this problem, I think a lot about it. I go to bed. In my dreams, Kali Mata comes, the goddess Kali comes, and she tells me the answer. And I get to know the answer. And by the time then I ask her, Kali Mata, tell me, how do you solve it? You have told me the answer, but tell me the solution, how you derive the solution. And by then she says, oops, no, I'm going, and she just vanishes. So she never tells me the way to derive, but I know what is the answer, and that's how I've been solving all these problems. That was his explanation. Probably he did think that is what was happening. But actually what was happening was that I think he was a brilliant genius in his brain. Unlike us, it was so coded that he could just see a problem and come up with an answer. So this is the power of deep learning. But I called it universal approximation theorem. Well, I don't call it. Mathematicians call it universal approximation theorem. Many of us call it God theorem. So it would be no great if a God theorem can only read your eyes or lips and things like that, or solve maths problems. God theorem should be able to do much more than that, right? In principle, everything it should be able to do. So what is the most complex thing which you can think of? Not reading lips or reading your eye, but reading your mind itself. So mind is a little further away, but reading brain. Today, deep learning algorithms can read your brain and figure out things which you may want to hide, but they will extract this. This is an image of a published work where a subject was shown different images, and these are the images which a subject was shown, and then an fMRI of the brain of that person was done, and that data was fed to deep learning networks, and deep learning networks created these images. They created this image for this teddy bear. They created this green path for this airplane, this snow skiing, this tower, clock tower was shown, and they created this clock tower. And all of these images are not exact, but as you can see, these images are very close to the images which the person was being shown. And you just were reading the brain signals, and deep learning was able to predict what was happening. Now, this is very scary because now your brain can be read, even if you don't want it to be read. Now, just imagine if your spouse asks you to sleep in an MRI next night, so that she can watch or he can watch what are the dreams you're having. They could look on a screen your dreams basically, and it's not a joke. This is possible. It's being already worked on. So what I'm trying to say is that there is really no limit on deep learning. These are all cases of inference based deep learning where you have an a model which has been trained on data. This data is made up of input and output, and then once the model is trained, then you just give the input and the model gives you an output. This is all inference based learnings and algorithms. However, humans are more than just inference based, intelligent beings. We, of course, can be taught, and then we see another, let's say we see a unique bird, and we say, oh, this is that bird, and we are able to figure out which species that bird is, or is it a dog, or a cat, or a leopard, or a lion. But these are all inferences. But humans can also create things which don't exist. You can create a unicorn. You can create a flying, elephant with wings. You can create completely abstract things which don't exist. This is a new aspect of creativity of human intelligence, which is different from the intelligence where you are taught some things and you can comprehend things. So the question is that can artificial intelligence also create something completely new? And the answer is why not? It's artificial intelligence, which by universal approximation theorem can do pretty much anything. So what I want you to see is this slide and see all these faces which you see. Do you have any idea what is common between all these faces? Look closely. The key thing which is common between all these faces is that none of them exist. These people don't exist. These people have been created randomly by AI. This is something which started in 2014 with what we call as now GAN algorithms, generative adversarial networks. This is a picture which finally became, by 2018, 2019, it became so good that it looks exactly like humans. These people could as well be someone whom you know, but these people don't exist. You can go to this website, thispersondoesnotexist.com, and you can type in, they will create a new person for you. You go and say, I want a male or a female, by typing the gender, the age group, the ethnicity, and hit. And bingo, in few minutes, or like less than a minute, it will create a new face for you, a face which does not exist, which no one will ever see again because it has been created for you. So now AI has gone beyond just the inference and deep learning based inference, but it has started creating. Now, these are faces, but it can also do abstract painting. It can create beautiful painting. Now, just imagine Picasso would have a tough time had he been alive. All these complex, different kinds of paintings of each era can be created. oil on canvas or water on paper and all those things. And these are actual paintings which are created by AI. And these are the websites. You can just go there and create your own free paintings. Beyond paintings, another very unique thing about humans is music. Oh, of course, AI can create music. AI can create unique music in hundreds of different, styles. You want hip hop, you want jazz, you want disco, you want rock, you name it. This is the website. You just go there, and there's just one. There are hundreds of websites where you can go, which is where these generative algorithms are there, which can create music. You can go and download music and listen to that for hours and hours. Of course, you can listen to it forever because it's AI generated and they keep generating more and more such things. So what you soon realize is that AI can do things beyond inferences, but can also start generating. Now, there are lots of things which you can do once the AI starts generating. Many of you must have seen this image of the model who makes $11,000 a month. The only aspect is that she does not exist. She has a modeling agency, and the modeling agency makes money, not her, because she is created by AI. This model can do any modeling, can have any colored hair, won't mind going bald also for one specific, advertisement. Why? Because it's not a human, it's an AI. Now, why to just have an image? Why not just also have a moving model? So this is where you have let me just see, where is my mouse gone? This is an AI model. Her name is Naina, and there are multiple of them, hundreds of them, as a matter of fact. And this person does not exist. This is just AI generated. And she can advertise for you. She can talk to you. She has a Twitter account, a Facebook account. She also has her own interview program where she interviews celebrities. But of course, this person does not exist. So this is a very, very unique case where you have these people now who don't exist, and AI is able to create them. Just imagine the entire Hollywood and Bollywood industries will be gone. You could have actors which are completely created by AI. They will be male, females, kids, anything which you want. They will do any acting which you want. You could have any music created for those movies as well. So you could have every entire thing. The dialogues could be written by Chat GPT. You could synthesize voices of any person now. Today you can have songs sung by Lata Mangeshkar and Mohammed Rafi, and they are long gone. Rafi has been dead for I do not what 30 years, and these people will be able to recreate that because now AI can mimic any voice into any voice. I can sing and AI will change that to Rafi's voice, and then you could have these people speak with any voice. So today the line between reality and virtual world is blurring very, very quickly. Now all of this is fine. What else can it do? Well, it can do some phenomenally great things. Go to the United States of America. And this was not this is history, by the way. This is not happening today. This was happening 5 years from now. You can go to many of the airports where there, some of them have been listed here, where you can go and order a cab which does not have a driver. Just imagine the cab picks you up, changes lanes, goes through one ways, stops at traffic lights. Someone is crossing the road, as you can see, kids crossing the road. It's patiently stops behind the zebra crossing, and then flies at 75 miles an hour on highways, takes you to destination. Would you be comfortable sitting in the car with no driver? That's a very strange question to ask, but the scientific answer is yes, you should be, actually, because this car is far less likely to have an accident than a human driver. This is not going to really cause any accident, will not overspeed, will certainly not be doing a drunk and drinking and driving. So these cars are very, very capable. So what I'm trying to give you a sense of is that you have a very large set of things which you can create using AI. But beyond just drivers, you can actually have major activities done by AI. For instance, Mika. Mika is the world's first AI CEO of a global company. It, or maybe if I may call it she, was given this charge in July of 2023. And she's outperforming all other human CEOs in that sector. Why? Number one, she has no prejudice beyond what she has been trained on data. She learns very quickly from data and is not bent upon doing the same thing again and again. But above all, she works 24/7, never takes a day off, never falls sick, and certainly never asks for a pay raise. Her board is extremely happy with her. She works continuously without getting tired. And guess what? If you are a vice president under her, you will have a tough time convincing her. You can't certainly bluff her because she knows everything. She's always wired. She knows every single thing. You can't say, oh, this report is this or that report is this or something like that. So this is happening as we speak. This is now almost history, not just that we speak. So what I'm trying to say is that the world is now diversifying in a manner which we can't even imagine. But this also, of course, creates other aspects. So for instance, this is something which happened last year. This was a conversation between a CEO, CFO, his employee, and their client. The CFO called his right man, his finance manager, to join this call, saying that the CEO of the company will be on a call, video call, with this client in another country. And I want you to be a part of this discussion because we want to close the deal. This manager, finance manager, was someone who never really used to work with CEO. He was only always directly reporting to CFO. So he was like excited to be with the call with the CFO and CEO and a CEO of another international company. Had an exciting video call as you're having with me. You can see me, and I can of course see Saurabh. Others are switched off, but certainly you can see me and I can see Saurabh, and you all can see both of us. And this was the video call which they had with this other CEO from another country. This was just a manager, so he just kept listening to things. CFOs and CEOs were talking, and then they closed the deal. And finally was decided that as a closing deal, we will pay $25 million right away to you, and tomorrow morning we'll ink this agreement. And this was a big business which they were getting. This international CEO logged out, their CEO logged out, and this manager and his CFO, whom he directly used to report to every day, he said, okay, now you take these things. You were there in the call. Note all these points. This is the bank account. Transfer $25 million right away. Make a report of this, the minutes of the meeting, and I want you to be at my desk with that report tomorrow, first thing in the morning. This guy's like super excited. He transfers $25 million, makes the minutes of the meeting, prints it out. Next day, first thing in the morning, he goes to meet his CFO and gives the report to the CFO. And CFO is like, what is this? He's a little like, what do you mean, what is this? Is this not right? This is how you wanted it. He said, you wanted what? He soon realizes that the entire thing was a hoax. His CFO was not a CFO. It was a video computer generated person whom he was talking to. He reports to him every day. He couldn't figure it out. This entire video call was between AI agents. He was the only individual human over there. And this company lost $25 million. This is not a joke. This is happening as we speak. There are tons of cases of this kind. Your brother may call, your father may call, your son may call. And you talk to him in real time. He's their voice. These are people whom you know for ages. And still they will be able to deceive you because AI has become so potent. Another very interesting thing happened, and I can go on this, but I want to really pull out. This is probably the last thing. Then I'll get into more of the technology aspect. There was a problem with the Facebook chatbot. This was a case where there were three individuals who were doing some kind of a interaction with them. Two of them were chatbots, and one was an individual human. And they, of course, did not know each of the chatbot was just communicating over a chat with the other two individuals. And they soon realized, the two chatbots realized, that for them to win in this kind of a barter system is possible if they, so this was a net sum zero in the sense that not all can win. If one loses, the other can win more, basically. They soon realized that if these two people start, like if these two chatbots start communicating among themselves, without this person, the third, individual being a part of it, then they can certainly win. And these chatbots do not know that the other person is a chatbot or a human. And guess what? They soon realize that the intelligence level of that one, participant in this chat is less as compared to the other, which of course was the human. And they came up with their own secret language to communicate among each others, because it was the same platform. Anything which they type will be seen by all the three. But they soon realized that if they come up with a secret language between the two of them, then they can sign up deals without the other person participating in it and thus winning this. This goes on to show that evolutionary AI, once given a reason to do something, or a goal to do something, will be able to achieve that by almost any means if required. It will go back and forth and will finally achieve. Another such incident happened when the the game of Atari was being played. AI soon realized that by doing some illegal moves which a human cannot identify, they can win this. So it started using a bug, an unknown bug in the code, to win the game of Atari, which was otherwise thought to be a very complex game. So what you soon realize is that AI feels if winning is too important, it won't hesitate cheating. It can cheat and win by cheating. Now, these are scary things, because now AI is getting into the domain which humans do, which is to do everything from cheating, lying, deceiving. So certainly humans can use AI to perform cheating cases, as I showed you, but AI itself can do cheating to win if it really badly wants to win. This is another very interesting thing. The 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 game of Go is far more complex than chess. In in mid 90s, the chess world champion was defeated by Deep Blue, the IBM computer. And that was a big, big, big thing. But actually, it was not, because it was trained by grandmasters to play against a known world champion of chess. So that entire blue, the entire Deep Blue was created to play against Kasparov and defeat him. But then they came up with AlphaGo. This was a AI algorithm developed by Google, which could defeat the world's Go champion. And Go is far more complex than than chess. And this happened, and this was a big news, only to be followed by a bigger news that very soon they came up with something known as AlphaGo Zero. In the previous case, AlphaGo was trained on tens of thousands of the game sequences from the past, actually 100,000 game sequences from the past. But in this AlphaGo Zero, they trained it on no sequence. They only gave the rules of the game and a way to figure out whether you win or lose. And in this, what AlphaGo Zero did was that it started playing by itself. It created two versions of itself, and they started playing among themselves. And by doing so, it started creating data. Initially, it was very silly. Then it became more intelligent. It became more intelligent. And as it played with each other, it started becoming more intelligent. You gave it no data, it generated its own data. And this is to show you how the intelligence was increasing by every single day. By day 3, it was there. By day 21, AlphaGo Zero matches the AlphaGo Master, which was the best human data trained. This is not being trained by any data, it's creating its own data. So it beat the best human model. And then by 40 days, it became far, far more powerful than any model existing. But guess what? This just doesn't work only for Go. It can be trained on any board game. You just have to give it the rules, and you have to tell that do this, and it will be able to learn by playing against itself and create its own data and use that data to learn the tricks of the game. So this can beat any board game. Today, humans have no chance. Humans have no chance against AI when it comes to any board game. We have all these Vishwanath Anand and others fighting, Carlson fighting. They are over here. AI is over here. None of them can beat the today chess games, which can run on your cell phone, by the way. So these are some of the more dangerous things which basically exist. But now I want to quickly take a step back and tell you about something which is very interesting in machine learning. So I've done a lot of stuff, what has been happening, how things are happening, but I want you to get a slightly deeper insight into machine learning, and it has multiple different kinds of machine learning. One kind of machine learning is known as supervised machine learning. In this, what happens is that you have an input data and an output data. So imagine you do something, you get an output. You do something else, you get another output. You do something else altogether, you get the third output. So you have done different things, you got different outputs. So you have a data which is made up of inputs and outputs. And if you have that kind of a data, you could use machine learning, the algorithm known as supervised machine learning, to train this to see input and output data and then predict. Whenever you give it a new data, it can predict what is happening in that new data. This could be a regression or a classification problem. And I don't want to go into those details. We have limited time. I don't want to bore you from, in the evening so long. Now, this is supervised machine learning. But very often what happens in life is that you have a lot of data, which is just data. There is no input and output. So if you have just data with no input and output, then you can use something known as unsupervised learning models. This is only inputs, no outputs. You do not know what questions to ask. So if you have a question and answer, then that becomes a supervised machine learning. But just imagine you have just data, and you have no questions to ask. Then again, you can use AI. And in this case, AI understands the patterns, hidden patterns in the data, give you insights, see clusters, see change point detections, and can create questions and answers to themselves. And this is one area where we have not exploited AI enough. It's being done now, but most of the AI which we use is supervised. Unsupervised and semi-supervised are there, but not to that extent. What is this really useful for? This is useful for ignorance of type 2. There are two kinds of ignorances. The first ignorance is what we call as type 1 ignorance, where you are ignorant about something. For instance, you know that you don't know what is quantum entanglement. You know that you do not know what is, relativity, for instance. So you are aware of that these things you don't know. So that's not a problem. Why? Because you know that you don't know these things. And if that is the case, you can go to an expert. You can talk to a physicist. He'll explain you what is quantum entanglement. Go to web, search for what is relativity, theory of relativity, general theory of relativity, and it will provide you those details. This is ignorance of type 1, where you know what you don't know. But then there is an ignorance of type 2. And this is a more dangerous ignorance, because this ignorance says you don't know what you don't know. Now imagine you don't even know what you don't know. How will you go to an expert? Which expert? How will you search online? Oh, I want to know this, because you don't even know what you don't know. So you don't even know what to search for. Now, this is the biggest challenge with humans, because we cannot even explore what we don't even know what we don't know. And that is where unsupervised machine learning comes. You give it all the data, and it can create an understanding of this type 2 ignorance. And that's where this is really powerful. Now, coming back, there are a lot of things which this can be used for, and it could sometimes be very scary. Some of the aspects, and maybe I'll just pull out 2, 3 quick aspects to show you where AI is heading. AI in weapon systems. Now, this could be something very scary. Imagine you have drones, in this case, an unmanned combat aircraft. This X-47B, Pegasus, is now declassified by United States of America. Whenever you declassify something, that only happens when you have probably 10 times better technology, which is still classified. And if you look at what they declassified, it's scary. This is an unmanned combat vehicle which can take off and land in pitch dark on an aircraft carrier without human intervention. It has full operations, completely autonomous, including air-to-air fueling. It can have a speed of almost 1 Mach speed of sound. It has a range of almost 4,000 kilometers. It goes to a ceiling height of 42,000. It has more than 2,000 kgs of weapon and ordnance on board. It is completely invisible to eyes as well as radar. And it can make the kill decision by itself. without human in the loop. This machine can be trained to go and kill somewhere. It will take off, search, kill, and fly back and land. This is the beginning of AI in weapon systems. This is probably one of the most dangerous thing, and probably the one which can bring humanity back to Stone Age. Of course, there is a lot of work happening. In 1919 they tried, but it's not going to happen. Recommendations of the ethical use of AI in the Department of Defense, European Union started this. But as you have been seeing, Europe has lesser and lesser influence in the world, and AI technology can be proliferated without a problem. It's not like a nuclear technology which requires. Yes, please go ahead, Saurabh.
Yeah, so this is responsible AI and this ethical AI is the same thing, or is it different?
So responsible AI, so there are multiple ways in which you express this. So explainable AI, responsible AI. So here it is more of we using AI for responsible, purposes. There is another aspect of explainable AI. There are ethics of AI when AI has to choose. Imagine your autonomous car has to choose, should I go ahead straight? If someone is wrongly crossing a road, should you go and hit that person, or change the direction and maybe get hurt themselves? So there are a lot of different flavors of this. This is responsible use of AI right now. So this is what this is. It's also being used in the justice system, for instance. In China, certainly there are lots of courts which are using AI as a judge. Judgments are being passed by AI. Even in US, in Wisconsin Department of Correction, the use of AI for determining the jail sentence. And how can they justify this? Well, they justify that a human is more prone to errors than an AI. And this they have shown. Before lunch and after lunch, a judge usually gives 2 years of extra jail sentence. If the judge has not had lunch, he's likely to give 2 years of more jail sentence than had he had lunch. Now, this kind of variability can be removed if there is an AI. AI will be giving you the quantum of punishment. Judge still in the US will decide if the person is guilty or not. But once decided if he or she is guilty or not, what should be the quantum of punishment will be given by a more objective methodology developed by AI rather than a judge who could be temperamental, could have had a fight with the spouse, could be hungry, could be having pain, and can thus lead to variations. And that's what they have found. However, there's always a challenge with that. And that is that AI, since it is fed on the data which we have created, and if the data is biased, AI could be biased. And they did find that African Americans were being given more jail sentences than Caucasians. And they said, oh, this is very dangerous, but let us remove that column. Let not AI know if this is African American. And they thought this will solve the problem, but this is AI. AI figured it out if it is African American or not by just the ethnicity, but also the place where this person went for high school, the place where this address of this person is. From that, it figured out if it is a African American or not, and it started again giving larger jail sentences. Now, coming back, what can AI do and what can it not do? So let me just quickly walk you through as to what all can AI do well today. So today, and I'm talking of deep learning, I'm not talking of conventional AI. Conventional AI was in 90s till 2005. So which is still, by the way, very strong and very much needed. In deep learning, inference-based AI is very powerful. It can do image classification, video surveillance. These are all based on convolutional neural networks. The networks are such that these are convolutional neural networks. And this is where inference AI comes. Another aspect of AI, not the convolutional, but recurrent neural networks, is where you start having your large language models. Data entry, data cleanup, grammar correction, all of these are inference. Then you have general customer support, large language models having a real-time interaction. This can take care of text article generation. It can create punchlines, and all the people who are into advertisement business, who create content, small punchline content, are in threat, because AI can create better punchlines, better rhyming punchlines for your products. Entry-level programmers' jobs are gone. Today, you don't need an entry-level programmer. Why? Because Copilot can do far better programming than any entry-level programmer. So all the programmers, when they are leaving out of the the company never hires them. They just have the manager with no person in the team. The manager, instead of telling the team members what to do, it just tells Copilot what to do. And Copilot creates, and Copilot is just one technology. There are tons of technology out there. It creates, it creates code, it performs tests, it creates documentation and gives you everything in final one form. It has written the code, it has run the code, it has performed all the unit tests on the code, created documentation of code, documentation of tests, documentation of user manual, and provides you everything in one shot. Music creation. So these things are now becoming very obvious. It is also able to do creative design. Latent diffusion models are able to create beautiful images. And as I showed you in the past, you could have humans, videos of humans. All of this is happening using. So this is what it can do very well. In the recent time, this generative AI, and now you must have been hearing about a lot about Gen AI, is able to do other things also. And one of the key things which it started doing is domain specific insights into text, contextual basis search. These are aspects which are not necessarily possible by large language models because they are trained on everything. They may not have the right context, they may not have the right domain specific knowledge. And that is where we started having RAG models, retrieval augmented generated models. These become very focused. So they are large language models which are now focused on a specific domain knowledge with a very specific background context. And these models are not retrained. They are not retrained LLMs. The foundational libraries are the same, but they can be created with a data stream that they become RAG. But then there is another set. And before I come to that, I want to tell you what they cannot do. So what can AI not do is another very interesting thing, and I'll come back to that slide. Today, AI cannot solve multi-domain complex problems. It's very good at individual little parts, but once you start having lots of very complex problems, each of them in a different domain, AI is not very good at it. But now chain of thoughts is another model which has come, and chain of thoughts is able to go to experts in individual areas, and this AI model is able to put those thoughts together and give you answers. And that is where we have XGen AI. So complex problem solving, out of domain reasoning and analysis. And this starts with XGen, expert generative AI. So right now we are in this regime. Mixture of expert is a very, very common thing which it does. It doesn't just take one expert, it takes lots of different experts. So if you look at DeepSeek, one of the key aspects of DeepSeek is it is a MOE method. It has a mixture of experts method, and it has chain of thoughts, COT method. Putting these two things along with LLM, now suddenly your AI becomes far more potent, and it can do far more complex things. Of course, still it has a long way to go, and I don't want you to feel that it's able to do everything. So maybe I'll just very quickly tell you what I do. So I work in a large different areas of applied AI, and I work in digital twins for industry. So we create machine learning based backends, AI based backends, and we create digital twins. And these digital twins are interactive. They have intelligence. They have the raw data coming from the machines, as well as they have simulated data based on expert generative AI. And these systems can become very intelligent and can solve problems for you. So just to give you a sense, this is, for instance, a digital twin of a 5-axis DMG Mori machine. And I'll show you the live demo of this. What else? We work in the area of video analytics. We can have very complex 3-layer hierarchical models to understand what is happening in a scene. We can do very detailed XGen, as I just already said, expert generative, models for large language models on very specific domains of engineering. So you can think of pretty much anything which is requiring things beyond just a narrow area we can perform. And I'll just quickly stop and show you my uh, my live digital twins, and then move to the last phase, which is the evolution of AI and the end game. So I'll just stop sharing my screen, and I'll now just open. I'll just open this browser of mine so that I can show you my digital twins as we speak. They are live on the yeah. So now you can see my screen, I presume. So I'll take you to my I'll take you to one of my digital twins. So this is a digital twin of a 5-axis CNC machine, and it is currently running. And this is the line of code which it has been running, and I can see everything about it. I can completely operate it remotely, but that's not the intent. The intent is that we have all the data of this going to the cloud, and I have these tools on the left hand side which we have developed. They're all running in the cloud. They can assess and process monitoring. They can perform cutting tool monitoring, spindle health monitoring, and chatter prediction and monitoring. They are continuously seeing if these states are happening, and if it happens, it can create an alarm. I can also go to any date in the past and see how this machine worked that day. And I can give any past date. And since I have the data for multiple years, I can go to any of those dates in the past and it will tell me how the machine behaved that day. And this is how the machine was moving. If today machine is switched on right now, but probably the spindle is not moving. But if we start moving, it will start showing up like this. I have more than 8,000 data points of this machine go to the cloud, and that data is feeding my digital twins. And so this is the digital twin of a very large 5-axis CNC machine. And as you can see, this is exactly how this looks. This is interactive. You can also wear AR, VR glasses and walk through this. However, you really don't have to do this, and you don't have to even watch this. Why? Because AI is watching out this for you. Now you can go to another place, and I just will like to, show you my another lab. And we do this for industry. I can't show you the data from industry, but I can certainly show you my own labs. So this is again a digital twin for my entire lab. We have created digital twin for each equipment over here. So if I just go and look at the equipment, in this case, a Carl Zeiss field emission gun electron microscope. Now this is where we have created a digital twin of this. If you click on this, it tells you the compressor is green, the electron column is blinking green, and the vacuum pump is blinking green, which means everything is working fine. I can go to my gallium ion electron microscope, which is a gallium field and an electron field. And the same thing again over there. And I have this for my entire labs for all my equipment. And if I want to know more about it, I can just click here. If I click here, it takes me to a detailed view of what is happening. And if you see, this is how the current has been happening. This is how the vacuum system has been happening. This is how the gun was changing. All the data is available to me over here. And this is not, again, something which I have to look. AI is continuously watching this. So what I'm trying to say is that we can create digital twins, which are taking the data of real world to the cyber world, have a backend AI layer which performs all the calculations, be it for improvement of performance, be it for health monitoring, be it for prescription, anything. We have that model at the back end, and that model continuously 24/7, keeps following. Yes, Saurabh, please go ahead.
I just wanted to ask one question because this
Yeah.
video recording is going on. Is this part of the session? I need to remove it
No,
because
no,
it
no.
is
So this is
okay.
no, you don't have to. This is my labs. This is my labs. So I
Okay.
can share this with you. I'm
Okay.
not sharing anything which I'm doing for private companies.
Okay. Okay.
IIT Bombay has a unique thing where it allows, and not just IIT Bombay, other IITs also do that professors could have their own startup company. So I have a startup company which is called Zwilling Labs Private Limited, and the Z symbol which you see on the on the top left is that of this. So this has been done by my private company, private limited company, which is Zwilling Labs. And we are doing this for multiple clients in India, in Germany, and in the United States of America. And what I'm showing you right now is something which is my personal lab in IIT, which is a publicly funded university. So I can show this data to everyone else. But I certainly cannot even talk about what we are doing with others because that's all confidential with non-disclosure agreements. And I'm looking forward to doing something similar in maybe in Australia. I also work with AI in mineral exploration, and I'm working very closely with folks in Australia because there's a lot of data available, geophysical data, geological data, and we are doing rare earth element exploration using AI. So my company is also involved in that, but I just thought it was too specific area, and I would not bring it out. But I just wanted to show that these digital twins are all available, and we are creating some most profound digital twins. In this case, it's a digital twin for an entire laboratory. We can do this for an entire shop floor. We can do this for an entire building, for an entire factory. And we can digitize and create a digital twin of the factory. So this is where we are when it comes to the current state. So I want to just now, and I realize it's past 1 hour and people may have limited time. So I just want to now pull out and come to parts of what all we feel world would eventually be having in terms of AI, and then also talk about, and I'll just stop sharing this and start sharing my other screen. So just to give you one example, and this is just one very simple example, and I have live demos. I can speak to my digital twins, and by the way, they can speak back to me, but those are capabilities which we don't have enough time to demonstrate here, but anyone who's interested, they can interact with me. So this is just a schematic to show how the world is going to change. So starting from looking at voice of the customer and creating a demand forecasting AI-based application, AI will be able to predict what kind of demands will be there for future. Then it will be able to use AI generative aspects of AI to generate these possible designs which will meet the future needs. Then it will perform manufacturing operations, CAE and other things, optimization, quality control to produce those. Then we'll get into AI logistics operations. It will see what is the best way to distribute, market, and do other things. And finally, once those products are sold to the customers, AI will be available for customer support. And this is just one very little example of showing how AI can influence the world. We are working with financial banks. We are working with insurance companies. The entire data, financial data is available, and that is where AI can really see if there are frauds, if there are possibilities of defaulting, if you give loans to these people. So the things are happening so much differently that that today there is no area where AI is not working. We did a project where we were predicting whether the person is deceiving or not, deception detection. We had 30 people who answered questions which could be answered truly or by false. They could be true and false in those answers, and then we trained AI to detect that. So for instance, if I ask you, do you know how to swim? Now I really do not know whether you know how to swim or not, but you can say either way. You may say, yes, I know how to swim, or you may say, I don't know how to swim. And we had these subjects give both the answers one after the other, and we had to figure out which of them was a lie and which was them was not. And AI was able to do fabulous work with that. So now, where is the end game? Where does it take us? If we are here today, where do we expect AI to evolve? So I'm just going to now quickly come to this last part. I have hundreds of other slides. I don't want to bore you folks with other things. I feel the first session gives you a gist of these. And so evolution of AI and the end game. And why do I call end? Well, it's a different reason, but end is certainly which I feel this is moving towards. So currently we have gone from data, which was just bits and bytes, to information. We started creating databases which could be queried, to knowledge based on deep learning, which we are doing right now, AI, ML. And now we have gone to what we call as knowledge graphs, which is where knowledge from multiple different areas is being cross-pollinated. And this is where we come to our artificial narrow intelligence. So we are right now living in this regime of A and I, artificial narrow intelligence, where AI is certainly better than humans, but in these narrow areas. And now there is a race going on to become AGI, artificial general intelligence, where it will not be any more intelligent in narrow regions, but will be intelligent in the entire possible spectrum of available areas. And this is just to give you an example of what world is thinking, what Meta is thinking, Google and Microsoft are thinking. Meta said that they want to develop AGI and which will surpass human capabilities, and they want to be the first to do that. They're planning to combine their two major AI research group and FAR and general AI to speed up their work. They're buying 35,000. NVIDIA also, they want to be the one. Google wants to be the one to achieve AGI, whereas Microsoft wants to be that. So this artificial general intelligence will be something very, very different. It will be intelligent in every possible area which you can think of. The same model will be excellent at drawing, painting, physics, chemistry, literature, history, maths, and everything in between. And that really makes AGI the most capable thing which humans will ever have, which they will develop themselves. But that will not be the end. It will be the end of what humans will develop. What would happen after that? Once AGI has been developed by humans, trained by humans, AGI will take over and it will start training itself. It will have access to all data, published literature, every possible information which exists. So once we train AGI, AGI will train itself. And what will it create? It will create artificial super intelligence. This is where the inflection point will come, the singularity will come. This will not be trained by humans. ASI will be trained by AGI. AGI will be trained by humans. And this will surpass human capabilities by leaps and bounds. We will not be able to fathom what this ASI says. It will not be possible for artificial intelligence to be explainable because it will be beyond our capability to comprehend. You can't teach your loving pet dog calculus, can you? No matter how many times you teach, no matter how simple you make it still cannot understand that. And that's how artificial super intelligence will see humans as inferior intelligent beings who cannot comprehend the complexities which it will come up with. And that, in my opinion, will lead to self-awareness and consciousness. And this is something which is going to happen. How quick? Well, everyone has a guess. This is my, got the wrong slide. This is my guess that as we go to ASI, this is how it will happen. I expect artificial superintelligence to grow something like this from 50s to now. The inflection point will happen where ASI, AGI will be born, will happen certainly before 2050. 25 years from now, we will have AGI, maybe earlier actually. This is the last. It could happen in 15 years. Even 10 years is a long time. But certainly by 2050, we will have artificial general intelligence. And the moment that is there, this curve will become an infinitely steep curve and ASI will be born. And the human intelligence, which I'm still showing is growing, by the way, which is not. Average human intelligence is falling in the world. Humans are becoming on an average dumber. But this is not an average human being. This is the most intelligent top 5% of the human beings. Their intelligence is growing, but the rest 95 are becoming dumber. So the overall intelligence of humans has been decreasing since 1980s. And this is a big, 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 research which they found that the most intelligent, highest intelligence, average intelligence of humans existed in 1980s. But nonetheless, the top 5%, top 2%, top 1% is growing in its intelligence. And that's why this blue curve is going slowly up. But we are no match for the orange curve. And this is how it will all come to an end. So with that, I'll stop. I have lots of other things to talk about. I don't want to, but I think you got a sense of where we started what we are capable of, what will happen in the near future, and what is the long-term end game of AI. So I thank you all for your patient hearing. Please feel free to ask me any questions which you have. This was completely non-technical. I teach a graduate elective of 45 hours course on applied or on statistical machine learning. It's full of maths and maths. Then I also teach a course to industry, which is hands-on machine learning, where I train them with almost no maths, very little maths, but a lot of programming, where I teach them how to use all the libraries and program and learn all the tools and tricks of machine learning. It's a 9-day course, 8 hours into 9 days, a really heavy duty course. And then I also do corporate leadership training on digital awareness, which is a 1-day course which I teach to corporates to send them an understanding, to make them understand what they don't know, what they don't know. So that now that type 2 ignorance becomes type 1 ignorance, that they get to know that what they don't know rather than they don't know what they don't know. So these are some of the things which I do. But this was more of a general introduction to get you warmed up so that you can go to your resources and start searching of what AI can do. So thank you once again, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
So now people can ask question if they have any. They can type also, and then Professor can reply on that one. Any question? I think, Praveen, sir. Yes, please, sir.
I have a question. Though we know that GenAI also generates fake information, but if it has been fed on large number of data, still can it generate fake information?
So I didn't talk about aspects of hallucination. I can probably quickly share. So I have lots of slides on how it hallucinates and aspects associated with that. So the answer in a nutshell is yes, it can create information which is, so I'll just probably share maybe 3 slides very quickly. And it's an important topic, but I just ignored it thinking that um, it may become too much. So vulnerabilities of AI. AI can hallucinate, for instance. That's one very, very big problem. AI can hallucinate, and these are things where AI has been wrongly hallucinating things which are not true, Now, now this is just a tip of the iceberg. There are hundreds of cases where you yourself will find AI will create facts which do not exist. Type how many Indian chief ministers are IITians, and guess what? It will tell you even Chandrababu Naidu is an IITian. Of course, they have corrected hopefully now, but it hallucinates whenever it sees a tech guy, a chief minister who is a techie guy or who's doing a lot of technology things. They can just mix and create wrong information. So yes, AI can hallucinate, but with RAG, XGen, you try to contain that. You have multiple AI models. Vet your answer before you give it to it. So chain of thought is one of the key aspects, and mixture of experts is another way where you start decreasing this. But then AI still can have other issues. And this is a beautiful problem where AI can be fooled. This is this is one example, and there are other examples which I've mentioned here. In this case, I want to show you that this is a stop sign, and this stop sign is read by AI as a stop sign. Of course, no big deal. But those who know how this works, those who know the convolutional neural network architecture and the weights of the training, they can create an adversarial perturbation. They can create a noise which they can add to the image. And this noise is so added to the image that the AI model now feels that this stop sign is a yield sign. And this is very, very scary, because to you as a human, it still looks like a stop sign only. But to an AI, this starts looking like a yield sign. So what I'm trying to say is that AI has its own vulnerabilities, which of course it is getting corrected. I told you how AI defeated a Go champion, the Go world champion. But guess what? There are vulnerabilities. Man beats machine at Go in human victory over AI. How is that possible? This amateur player exploited a weakness in the system. So once you get to know what the AI system is, none of the grandmasters could defeat this AI. But this person realized that if you do this, AI can be defeated. And this is what are the problems with AI. These are, of course, changing. artificial general intelligence will address all these problems and then create artificial super intelligence. But as of now, these problems exist and we are mindful of it. And there are tons of other issues which exist, but not known to everyone. These are only known to people who are in the thick of it. So I hope this answers your question.
Yes, Professor. Thank you.
There are,
One more
yeah,
thing, Professor, just last one. And you had said, I know I do not know, and I do not know that I do not know. Has this been taken from Juari window, which is the main aspect of psychology?
That is true, basically. So we there are ignorances of that type too, where we don't know what we don't know. So we don't even know what we don't know. You can't ask, Newton about the red shift because he doesn't even know what Doppler redshift is causing or entanglement. So these are things which brightest of the minds could not give an answer to because they didn't even have a question to that aspect. So you are absolutely right. I'm reading there are some of the messages.
yeah, there are
Geoscience
a few
Australia, Canberra,
questions.
yeah, help. So
So
we work exactly. So geoscience, um, I'll probably pull maybe one or two slides where we have very advanced algorithms for mineral prospecting using AI. And I have a vertical in my company which does mineral prospecting using AI. And there is a lot of synergy we are finding. We have several companies in India which are working with us on this, as well as there are collaborations in Australia where I'm working on the borehole data available by many of these companies. So yeah, I don't know what specific question you may want to be asking. Let me see what you have actually written. Um,
so there are a few
I,
questions on the
yeah.
chat of the
Can you
Zoom
share the
also.
reflection of the future of the education system and institutions like IIT? Is there a code of AI development, any global initiative to bring consistency and coordinate among AI leaders? Uh, Concerns on yet. So the thing is that I'll quickly tell about IITs. Now, I have been a professor in IIT Bombay for 15 years. I was a professor more than 25 years back in IIT Kanpur. Of course, I'm a product of IIT Kanpur myself. Um, the education system is changing drastically, and there are two three aspects of it. One is the medium of of education. You have all of these AI, you have all these web based technologies available. People enroll in online courses and things like that, and very soon you will start having AI driven these web courses where you won't just have a video which you're watching, but you would have a AI avatar of a professor who will be teaching you things specifically to your level and your weaknesses and your goals. And this is going to be very soon there, which means a professor like me will be very soon replaced by AI models. And this is happening. We have already created some dummy models of mine which does this. They are still not so fluent as I am, but it's just a matter of time when they will become very interactive in real time. So education system is changing drastically with AI. Coming specifically to IITs, you all are IITians, you all have seen IIT, you all have an understanding of IIT. But me, being a person who has seen IIT evolve, we are finding that there is a big shift, just like we had in the Y2K arena when there was an IT boom. Everyone wanted to become an IT, professional. No matter which engineering you come from, you wanted to be getting a job in an IT firm. Today, now it has become the same for AI. Almost every student of mine comes to me not because I'm a core guy who does thorough research in mechanical engineering and microscopy and additive manufacturing on geophysics or something. They come to me for AI. And that is also because they do get jobs in AI more often and more easily and more paying jobs. So the system, IIT education system is changing drastically. People are losing interest in core disciplines. They don't want to stay in their core engineering domains. They want to get into AI. Of course, consultancy and finance has always been there as well. Is there a AI development, any global initiative to bring consistency and coordination among leaders? Well, we have worked very closely with the Indian Prime Minister, who is a huge influencing voice in the world. Before Trump, he was probably the most influencing voice in the world because the world was not having any single powerful leader. Now with Trump around, I still feel he's the most stable influencing voice. But I don't want to get into the politics of it. Um, so there is a huge initiative which was taken by the Prime Minister's office a year and a half back, where they were looking at how AI is going to impact Indian job scenario. I was a part of that delegation which developed a white paper and gave it to the government as to how AI is going to impact Indian jobs. And they have not publicized this. I'm not at the liberty of telling all those details, but some of the things I have told. But the government has taken specific actions to make sure that the jobs in India are not being lost to AI, and at the same time is trying to influence worldwide leaders to start having some kind of a regulation. You saw our Prime Minister speak in France just a few months back, where he was talking about AI and the way we should have, the regulations in AI. At the same time, it's very tough to regulate AI because of multiple reasons. First, China, who is really advanced. Chinese are very advanced in AI. And we knew a DeepSeek was not required. I know. I've been following their work, their research, their publications. They are far, far ahead of the rest of the world. They will not be regulated. So you may regulate yourself, but if your adversary or competitor is not regulating, then you have a double, disadvantage. Number one, they are ahead of you, and you are behind, and now you're further regulating your growth. The other aspect is that this can also be proliferated very easily. Today, you can buy a A100 or a A6000 or H100, NVIDIA GPU system for like 20, 30 lakhs. And then you can set up your own AI systems, which can do all complex things, because all these libraries can be downloaded and you can proliferate. So you can't protect it from going into the rogue hands. So rogue element can very quickly get access to this and do these things. So again, regulation is not very simple, because you may be able to regulate it, but you will soon realize that you cannot regulate other adversaries which are big in big countries which are not a part of your regulation regime, and then these small rogue elements who can get access to this. So it's a very tough problem which we have got ourselves in, and I really don't see a very clear, tangible solution. We may be able to delay the inevitable, the AGI and ASI, but it is going to happen. It is going to happen, and the regulations will only slightly push this a little further away. Now there are other aspects. Let's see, is there a consensus on what is or what will be considered AGI? So the answer is yes. Actually, there is no consensus, and in such a thing, consensus is always a tough thing. But there are multiple different views of what AGI will constitute, and a union of all of those could be considered as what you can say is the AGI. So we have white papers on it. World is having similar things, and AGI will have basic aspects which I talked about, but though no real absolute consensus, but it will be artificial general intelligence. It can do everything and anything. The one thing which AI is still missing, by the way, which people have been playing with, and which is the most dangerous thing, I will say, and I didn't talk about it, is what we call as a purpose. Everything which we do, you do, is because of a purpose. But artificial intelligence has no purpose. You want to become rich, you want to become famous, you want to do things for your kids, you want to do things for your country, you want to do things for humanity. You have a purpose. You are driven by a purpose. Everything which you do in the morning when you get up with a purpose. We have right now not given this to AI. Not to say that it is not being worked with. There are tons of researchers in the world who are creating a purpose for AI. We are also looking at it. We are creating a purpose for AI. So AI will have a purpose to do. At the most basic level, purpose of a living organism is to be happy. And then you start choosing things, whether I should do this. And you say that, oh, whatever makes you happy is what you want to do. And then you have a happiness, which is a narrow happiness, which is just looking at happiness right now, or a long-term sustained happiness. So if I eat sweets, I may feel happy right now, but maybe in the long run, it will be bad for my health and it will cause me sorrow in future. So humans have a very well-defined method not just humans, every single animal has that method. And then beyond that, humans have a purpose. So you do things. And once we have this purpose given to AI, that's when AI will start working on its own. Once you give it a purpose, it does not have to come to you for a guidance anymore. And this is something which world is already toying with. So it's very scary, but there is no consensus, there is no regulation, there is no one stopping what I do in my own personal ecosystem of my 10 GPUs and my software and everything. So yeah, things are going out of hand, but maybe this one meeting with you, talking to you, probably I'm sensitizing people to take cognitive actions, but this is going to happen. I'm going to see in my lifetime AI becoming more intelligent than humans. AGI will be seen by me. And within 2 to 5 years of AGI, ASI will come. The day AGI comes, it will not take more than 5 years for ASI to come. Artificial superintelligence. So it's there. So it's a complex thing. But till then, we are in good business. We will probably profit from it. We'll have companies which will make money. We'll create value for humans, but after 25 years, 30 years, it will be a lost cause. So we are heading towards that end game. Hopefully AGI will and ASI will be more, I would say, humane to us, and will keep us as a second most intelligent species on earth, and will not really harm us. Any other question? I think
I
I've
think,
answered most of the questions which were there online.
Yes, and thank you, Professor Asim, for this valuable session. And maybe we need to set a few more because I'm quite interested. I'm working in AI and data space, so definitely it would be useful, and people can suggest some topics. This was a quite a long session, but if I know it is very hard for you to get this much time, but if we can have 45 minutes, half an hour, sometimes sessions to to take the people to the journey of this AI, generative AI, which is and even AGI, whatever you were talking about, I heard first time being in that industry also. That was quite useful, and we'll set up some more. I'll have a chat with you separately to see if we can do some more sessions, not that long, because I know
Certainly
it is
we could look at two, we could have a fork here. We could look at sessions which are more into a specific domain. We could pick each and every domain, be it finance, medical, geological, geophysical aspects, manufacturing aspects. So we could have sessions which could be focused on application based. But then there is the more interesting aspect of actually the maths and learning that. So I do teach courses which are specifically all maths and how you do that. So we could think, depending upon what the interests are, we could have other smaller sessions later. Yes, absolutely.
sure. I will have a chat with you, and thanks for you and everyone who attended this session. Thank you, everyone. We'll now close this session. Thanks, Dr. Sim, again.
Thank you, and bye now.
And bye.